Welcome. In this video, we're going to go over how to evaluate and how to solve when you're given functions and some numbers. So when we're told to evaluate a function for a particular value, like the ones you're given here, that means we, in essence, put that value in for the variable. So plug into the variable. So evaluate tells us to, you know what, I'm not going to use the plug in. I'm going to use replace. So we're going to replace the variable with what we are given, whether it's a value or different variables. So with whatever we are given. So this is what we're going to replace, and I'll highlight it in the same color. So replace, that's what we're replacing here. So for the first one, we're given x equals 1. So I'm going to write h parentheses, and I'm not going to write x equals 1. I'm going to write just 1. H of 1 equals 5, and then instead of next, I'm going to put a parentheses and put that 1 in there, minus 2. Alternatively, actually, let me show you this way. We're going to do 5, and instead of writing anything down first, we're going to just put the parentheses. And now in that parentheses, we're going to replace it with the 1. So this is 5 times 1 minus 2. This is equal to 3. Let's do that again now. For x equals a plus h. So h, just going to leave a large blank parentheses equals 5 large blank parentheses minus 2. Now I know to put this a plus h into these parentheses. So this equals 5a. We can now distribute 5 times a, 5 times h. So 5a plus 5h minus 2. We have no more remaining like terms. We can't combine anything, so we're done. Whereas here, 5 and 2 are both whole numbers. They're both numbers. They're like terms, so we combine them to get 3. In this case, we can't do that, so we are done. All right, let's move on. In this part, we're told to solve h of x for h of x equals 13 and h of x equals 7. So when you're told to solve, that means you replace, not the variable, you replace all of h of x with the value you are given. So replace h of x. So the entire function name with whatever value we are given. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this one first. So h of x equals 13. So I'm going to write h of x equals 5x minus 2. I'm going to replace this h of x. And I'll go ahead and highlight it just to make it very clear. So this is what we're replacing. Replace h of x. That's what we're replacing. Let's go ahead and replace that. I'm going to replace it with a 13, and then everything else stays the same. And you're going to write everything down on each step, especially if you've struggled with algebra in the past or have struggled in your math classes. Please write down every step exactly as you see me do it. And now we solve this, and when we solve, we want to get the variable by itself. So let's add that to our directions. So replace the entire function name with whatever value we are given, then solve for the variable. And really what that means is isolate the variable, get it by itself. That's what we mean by solve. Okay, so let's go ahead and solve this. I'm going to go ahead and add 2 to both sides. 13 plus 2 is 15, so I have 15 equals 5x. Negative 2 plus 2 is just 0, so I'm leaving that off. Next, I'm going to go ahead and divide both sides by 5. And on the left, I end up with 3. On the right, I end up with x. So that means we've solved this. If we're given h of x equals 13, that means x equals 5. Now let's do this again. And this time, let's go ahead and do this for h of x equals 7. So h of x, oh, and that's negative 7, excuse me, equals 5x minus 2. We're going to go ahead and replace this with the negative 7 equals 5x minus 2. Then we go ahead and add 2 to both sides. We're just undoing what has been done to get negative 5 equals 5x. And you can divide both sides by 5, or you can do this visually, but I see that in order to make this equation true, x has to equal negative 1. So negative 1 equals x. And in case you need to see it, we just divided both sides by 5. All right, hopefully you learned a new concept or solidified this concept in your mind. Please keep calm and math on.